Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. What's up, everyone, and welcome to Silver Sunday. I still got one of them going somewhere. Oh, there it is. This November 20th, 2022. I hear a dog.
Yeah.
I hear a Gabby. How is everyone doing?
Good.
Let's
see. Can you see the doggy?
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
no. We'll start a fight here.
You see the doggy? Are you afraid of the doggy?
Yeah, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
I'm not afraid of no dogs. Come on.
Yeah.
No, she's cool.
Welcome, everyone. We are talking about Rejection Night tonight. I'm your host, Roland Mann. I am with Thomas Flormonti, who barely squeaked in before we went live. What's up, Tommy?
I was having video problems. I had to reboot real quick. I don't know what the deal was. I was doing some coding earlier, and the computer wasn't acting right. It's working now.
You made it. And we have Roberta.
Yeah, hey, I'm back today.
Hello. Good.
On our Wednesday cruise, and that's not making Tommy very happy. Just want you to know that, Roberta.
I noticed that. I'm sorry, Tommy.
I'm glad you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Wednesday guys.
And it's still only temporarily, right?
I mean, I would like to do Sundays, but it's hard in this.
I know.
Whenever you can make it.
Well, we've got so in the I don't know what you call it. In the whole spirit of shifting days, Haley is here.
Yeah. Hello.
Haley has moved from Wednesdays to Sundays, so yeah.
So we're swapping.
She knows Sundays are better day anyway.
Effectively, you guys are swapping, so
yeah.
So we're all good. So it got chilly down here.
Oh yeah, don't be telling me.
Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 56 degrees Fahrenheit.
56 degrees.
Yeah.
Expect a low of 56 degrees.
It's 56. Expect a low of 56.
Oh,
so it's not moving much. That's
it's
very
pretty
funny.
No. Well, it's funny because I talked to my parents yesterday, and I asked my dad. I said, "Is it cold up there?" He goes, "It's so cold." I said, "How cold is it?" "It's 24 degrees."
Oh my goodness.
Same way in Mississippi with Renee's, the rest of our family over there. Yeah, it's been in the 30s and stuff.
My dad was not happy at all.
Oh no!
Of course, I told him. I was like, "Oh, Dad, yeah, oh, that sounds cold." I said, "It got really cold here too, Dad. I think it got down to 56 last night." And my dad said, "Yeah, yeah."
Well, that is cold. That's cold. When it gets down in the 70s around here, ask Haley. We put on jackets and everything. It's cold.
Mhm.
I've got my
Yeah,
sweatshirt
my dad had to
on.
put on pants to go to church today, and he's like, "No, he hates it when he can't wear shorts."
What they normally wear
That's
is boxers or briefs or something.
No, shorts. He usually has got his shorts and sandals.
Oh, shorts. Okay,
Yeah,
I just thought the mini is actually putting.
Yeah, I didn't word that quite.
I didn't know what kind of church you guys went to. It could have been one of those nudist churches or something.
Yeah, very casual.
Yeah, but super good. There you go.
Yeah.
That is hard, all right.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. Shoot, I was going to say something else.
About the weather?
I don't think so.
How's it in California?
Oh, it's fine. It's been it was colder last week, but now it's back to 50 at night and 70 in the day. It's nice.
Oh, see, that's like perfect
normal.
weather.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It will get colder. It's been bumping up and down basically. So
And the thing about I think the thing about the weather there in California like that is that you guys don't get a lot of rain, right? So
no, it gets pretty dry.
yeah, so it's just cold and that's not an unbearable cold, but it's like a fun cold. But
Mhm.
like today it's drizzly and dreary and so it's
Yeah.
wet and cold and it's like I like the cold. I want it to be cold some, but man, the wetness that comes with it, I'm like, no, can somebody stop that? Just
No, I don't want it to be cold. Let it be 80s all the time.
See,
I
I don't mind. I know that, but I want some cold. For my winter. I want my winter to have some.
No, just the week before and the week after Christmas, cold. The rest of the year, warm.
See, wouldn't that be nice if it's just a week?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's all. I just want it cold around Christmas, and just because it feels more Christmassy. But the rest of the year, no, I'd rather for it to be warm.
We can guarantee that I would be okay with it. Yeah, I would be okay with that. So, but yeah, I want some cold. I just don't like the wetness. That's one thing I don't miss about Mississippi is when it was cold there, it was always wet and muddy and dreary and yeah.
Icing over and stuff. Ugh.
Yeah. So,
Anyhow.
anyway, let's dreary and overcast is probably not a bad weather description to talk about our topic tonight, right? Rejection.
Rejection. Dun, dun, dun.
I had a really good show. I'm tired. My voice might give out. I'm drinking water some, so to help. But I went to Lake County Comic Convention today, and it was a really good show.
But I wasn't invited.
Just one. I wasn't sure what to expect because Tommy, it was the Claremont Comic Con, and then he had problems with the city there, and so he moved it to the location. It was a weird location. It was nice, but it was smaller. So it was like in a clubhouse. So some of the people were in like a hallway. But there were a lot of people came out. I mean, and people were spending money. I sold several copies of the Christmas special. So I think being in the kind of in the holiday spirit helped folks. I want to say I sold 4 copies of it. I think 4 or 5 copies.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
I'm
So,
proud of that thing.
I noticed you tried to go live a couple of times and it didn't go through.
The internet was terrible there. The location was nice, and
Yeah,
there was
but
a lot of people.
your cell phone? They didn't have cell service out there?
That was he was on BJ's iPhone.
Yeah.
Try. Yeah.
her data plan wasn't working. They just had bad
everybody had bad service there where we were. So
I see.
yeah. So yeah, it was, and I don't know the reasons, but yeah, we had bad service. But the show itself was really good. So yeah, it was a great way it was a great last show for me to end the year 22 with. So and for those of you who are following, yes, I had a couple of people ask me about it at the show. We did cancel our Kickstarter.
It's not canceled. It's just postponed.
It's postponed. Yep.
Yeah.
We don't know. Lots of things could have been the cause. We had some people comment, and well, this might have been the cause. This might have been the cause. I suspect that there were lots of little things that were the cause.
Yeah, a bunch of different, something different for everybody. Yeah.
As I said in the announcement, yeah, I'm a little sad about it, but I'm not. I'm not down. We've had, we've got a great track record. We've had 20 successful ones, and so this one is not going to get me or us down, because 1 in 21 outings, I think, is still a pretty good record. So, we tried something different, and I don't ever want us to be afraid to try something different. And so that's the reason I don't want to cast a sort of a gloom and doom on the fact that we had to cancel a Kickstarter, because it's like, okay, so what? We had to cancel a Kickstarter. Big deal. We tried something new with it, and so it didn't work. That's okay. Let's just do the next thing, right?
Maybe tool it and put it back out. Yeah, because it was good, solid stuff all the way through. So there's
absolutely. And I've already got the date picked out. I am working hard. I'm going to be working hard certainly over the holiday week to try to get the next one a link for us. But our target date for a relaunch for our next Kickstarter will be January 3rd. And we already know we are going to go with can I show the thing you sent me, Tommy? Yes.
It wasn't those dirty pictures, I think.
No, not those.
No, put those aside.
You say things like that, you gotta watch Haley's reaction to them.
Yeah,
I'm here now. You gotta be careful.
No, Haley had
stuff that he dropped in the mud.
Because I sent the dirty pictures to Haley too, so she knew. She was like, "Better not say that."
Okay, so that's not what I'm talking about. So let me show you.
Okay.
Woo-hoo. So
Wait a minute. How come I didn't know about this? How did I not know about this?
So
we were working on it.
Yeah, we were working on it. So
that's pretty
it's
awesome.
Pretty and yeah, shiny. And why is it not in focus? There we go.
And why can't I have one?
You are.
Well, so here's
we got or you've got it. Silverline's got a new thing we're going to do with Kickstarter versions, right? Yep.
So, I'm excited. This won't be
awesome. This won't be on the next Kickstarter, but this is what we're going to do with our Kickstarter books. At least for the next several ones, to see how that goes. We're going to make them. Going to continue to add something a little special to them. So the next Kickstarter is going to be. It will be Trump's number 4 and Divinity number 3. So,
awesome.
Get ready for that for January the 3rd. That's when we're going to launch that one. So, so those of you who offered me very, very kind and nice thoughts today, I'm not depressed, not down. We tried something new. I'm glad we did. I don't want us to ever be afraid to try new things, and so don't think that we're upset about it at all. I just now realize we got several comments here, so let's blow through some of them here. Cool Gamer says, "Hello, guys." I think that it's supposed to be guys. Looks like Gutsies. Hello, Gutsy. What's up, Cool Gamer? All right. Pop says, "Hey, yo, what is up, Pop?" And I remember this is good evening, Silverliners, from Vic. Hey, Vic, what's going on? Facebook user, it's best to act like an adult. This may be a fun job, but it's still a job. Behave that way. Who misbehaved?
Okay.
no. We're not a misbehaving crew. If anybody, it had to be Tommy.
Sorry, I didn't send any bad pictures to anybody.
No, I bet that's what it
no.
was. Yeah, I bet that's what it was. Rick says the cold front is killing me.
Yeah.
Bobby Weskovich says, "Hey, big dummy and bike man,
What's going on?
what's up, Screw Loose?" Vic says, "Reinstating the purity of garden church."
Don't even want to know.
Willie Pepper says, "We had sleet."
Ooh.
Wow.
That sounds
No,
very
thank you.
cold. I'm glad we didn't have sleet here.
No.
And the other thing is, I have now got to the point where, as I look around, I see it's only me and Haley. I've gotten to the point where I pretty much wear my glasses all the time now.
Mhm.
And if it's raining, right, or even drizzling, I'm like, I need windshield wipers on my glasses, right?
Yeah.
Vic says, "I'm sad the last Kickstarter didn't go through." Thank you, Vic. Like I said, don't be sad.
No, it's good. We're retooling it. It's going to be a little more concise, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Alexa, hush.
Uh-oh. What did Alexa say?
I don't know. I just heard her start talking because she's probably still worried about the temperature, right? And you just can't wait. These I don't know exactly. These are
It's just silver foil covered.
foil. Yeah, foil. So, and they look good. I realize you guys can see them here, but man, they look so good.
They're
Right
so
here.
shiny.
I can't. This if you didn't know, this is sitting right
Oh,
here.
yeah, you can't see it from your thing, but when you hold them in front of you, the light is reflecting off onto your face. Turn it back the other way around, so you're facing you. You can see the light shining on your foot.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's
that's
bouncing back onto your face. Yeah, it's bright. It's silver. We are we those people at Kablam. They've about to announce a new cover enhancements, which those are some of them. So
so we'll be some of the first to use them, right?
Yep. I mean, I don't know. Those guys.
I didn't
ask those guys.
It's some of the first.
No. I mean, I would have to ask them. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those cool
Those
folks.
those Kablam guys.
Yeah, Willie Pepper says Kickstarter didn't work out. Just shift gears and hit the gas. You're absolutely right.
Thank you,
Willie. Yeah. Bobby Wiskovich says, "Big Dummy, put y'all on Facebook at home." Thank you so much, Screw Loose. For those of you who are late to the party, Bobby Wiskovich is my father-in-law, so he has called me Big Dummy for years. I've only recently started calling him Screw Loose, and I told that story on another a previous show, so I won't repeat it here. But all right, so all kind of cool stuff happening. Let's talk about rejection. Rejection. I'm just gonna kind of precede this, and then we'll just kind of go. So rejection is just really kind of part and parcel if you're going to be a creative person. Would you guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Rejection is not easy. I mean, I don't care if it's your first project or if you've been doing it for 20 years and you get rejected. Rejection is still never fun. It doesn't feel good. Sometimes rejections feel personal. And I would be, as one who is set on the opposite side of the desk, I would be the one to say 99.9% of the time it's not personal. I'm not going to say it's never personal, but the overwhelming majority of the times it's not personal. It's all about business. And when you keep in mind that whoever you're submitting to, it's their task to sell comics. And Vic says, "This sounds like relationship advice."
I know it is.
Well, there's I would hesitate to say, and we can talk about it. There's a lot of similarities in kind of personal relationships and rejection. As
I think the feeling that you have, it feels the same way. If you got I mean, it's been a long time since I've been rejected, but you know what I'm saying. But no matter how much you've done, or how professional, how long you've been in the business doing this stuff, we all still get rejected every now. You think that you hear about a project coming up and somebody goes, "Hey, you ought to put in for that," and then you think that, oh, I'm the only one that's going to be inking this thing. I'll put in for it, and all of a sudden you hear back and it's like, I didn't get it. How did I not get that? That's like that kind of, yeah. And then you start feeling bad. And you're like, I got dumped. I don't know what happened.
Well, and the other thing is, would you agree with this? The other thing is, if the project happens, right, you look at it and then it comes out and you're like, man, I'm better than that person that got the job.
Of course. Well, but then you it depends on what it is, and you go, I see they were trying to go a different direction, and yeah, and so you just move on to the next thing. But for a rejection from beginner folks is really tough there at the beginning when you start getting stacks of them, and then finally you break through. It's really it's a great thing once you break through.
And Willie Peppers says just that, Tommy. He says, in the beginning, it was personal for me. Then, after many years in the business, I take it for what it is, a business decision. For those who don't know, Willie is an artist as well, a fantastic artist. Willie drew 4 pages of Cat and Mouse when we were actually talking about relaunching it back in the 90s. And they still, I still look at those pages today and go, man, these pages look great. Would have been cool. Would have been cool. The project never happened. It's just, again, talk about rejection, right? It was a project that I wanted to happen. And
at Malibu, you're saying?
Yeah, this would have been probably 90. I don't know. Willie maybe can help me remember. This probably would have been like 93. Something like that. The first volume of Cat and Mouse was like late 89, 90, and into 91. And then we were looking to relaunch it with Willie as the penciler. And Jeff Whiting was actually going to ink it. And
it would have been a great book.
It would have looked fantastic, and those pages looked great. In fact, they saw print in a Malibu Sun. Malibu used to, Roberta, you remember those?
Our paper, yeah. Kind of our news. I guess our report.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely, and it was the thing that would come out and tell you, oh, here's what we've got coming out, right? Yeah. Roberta, I cannot remove that madness thing that's right on top of your head. So.
Oh, that's all right. I can.
I can't move that one around.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's been sitting there for a while.
You can remove, or I can move.
I'm fine.
Silverline one, right? I can go here, put it down on Haley's mouth, right?
That.
Or now it's not covered.
Oh, where's Tommy?
Okay, so just wanted to know I can't move that thing. All right, let me get back to the comments here. There it comes.
Yeah, I don't know. Bad weather, the snow. I don't know.
I thought you got mad. We were going to start talking about rejection.
Says, I rejected. I'm out of here.
I even had the pleasure of working with Tommy.
You had a what?
He said he even had the pleasure of working with you.
We did. What it was it was gravestone stuff, wasn't it? Didn't we do gravestone? I can't remember. What was it, Willie?
Family, but I can't remember if it was gravestone or protectors. Help us remember, Willie. It's been a minute since we've done that, right? Vic says, anyway, Mouse Omnibus. To answer your question, Vic, yes, absolutely. When the Cat and Mouse Omnibus is done, you're going to see that. You're going to see in the Cat and Mouse Omnibus, you're going to see the first 4 pages ever done by me and Mitch and Steven. And then you're going to see the 19 issue run. Oops, crap! We're getting naughty spam here.
Oh, don't put that on there.
No, block user. I think that'll work.
Okay, delete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Gravestone. Yeah. I think I got a page or two of that still
Still,
in my.
wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. So so yeah, Willie says yeah, it was Christian. Yeah. So hopefully Willie and I still talk. Hopefully we'll see some Willie Cat and Mouse maybe in the future. I would absolutely love that. But where was it go? Oh, Vic was talking about the omnibus. So we'll see that, and we'll see the original 4-pager, and probably the 6 pages. So the story changed a little bit, but we had 6 pages that Henry Martinez penciled. Henry was going to be the penciler for the project, and then it couldn't happen, and that's when Dean came on. But yeah, so yeah, the omnibus will have a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of hard to find stuff. But I blocked girls 18XYZ just so y'all know.
That's my other name. I'm gonna change it to something else. Hold on, let me get it.
This has been hitting the drawing board. I got back in the swing of things, really ready to jump into the thick of things with you guys. It sounds great, Willie. I am stoked to hear that.
Cool.
Willie knows this, and Tommy probably knows this. You probably heard me say it, but I've been a fan of Willie's work for
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot while we're bike riding.
Right? Yeah. So here's a question. Let me
we talk a lot about everybody while we're bike riding.
True. So here's let me pose this question to you guys. I'm thinking kind of 2 things. If you don't mind talking about them, can you remember maybe your first rejection and maybe the rejection that hit you the most? So the first one might be tougher because, well, except for Haley, she's probably closer to. she's younger.
It's fresh in my mind.
Sweet.
Actually, I don't know.
But maybe the one that maybe hit you the hardest, hit you the most. Any thoughts? I can tell you. So I can tell you one that was kind of tough on me. It wasn't the bring me to tears kind. But and Tommy, you probably remember some of this. Back when I was first getting started, we heard that they were looking for a new creative team for Alpha Flight, and I enjoyed Alpha Flight, and my our buddy Stephen Butler, Stephen's the one who it was kind of his idea. He said, let's do it. So I wrote up a proposal for Alpha Flight. Stephen drew a couple of pages. I want to say 2 pages, 3 pages maybe. Ken Branch started inking them, and we sent them some stuff. And by the time they received it, we got word that they had already found a replacement team, and we didn't get that. Yeah, that was
Just
tough.
missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of those. I was I thought, sometimes you feel like, oh, I've really got a good shot at this, and sometimes you think, okay, it's a long shot, right? I mean, some of them you feel good about, and some of them you realize, oh no, I'm just going to be one of 1,000 people that are applying, and that was one of those that I felt really good about. I felt we had a really good shot at it, and then to find out that before they even received our proposal to reject us, they had already decided
picked
on
somebody.
a team. Yeah. Other stories? Anybody else?
I've got one. I got to go.
Okay.
I think one of my most disappointing one was I was already doing work with you, and then with Malibu I was doing stuff. But when towards the beginning, everybody I've told this before. I used to do a lot of background ghost inking, what they call it, for Jimmy Palmiotti. And remember, he was inking 15 books, and the reason why he was doing so many books is because I was doing a lot of the background stuff and a lot of the character stuff. So the reason why he was doing, and he had some other folks too. But the one book we were working on God, this was in the 90s. I guess it was early 90s. It was the Punisher 2099 book. I was pretty much inking everything in those books. And the penciler really, I forget what the penciler's name was. This is Marvel, right? Punisher 2099. And Jimmy was ready to get off of inking the book, and even the editor knew that I was inking, doing all the. Actually, the penciler was sending the pages directly to me
Really?
to do all the backgrounds, and then I would send them on to Jimmy, and Jimmy would finish up what I didn't do, and because it was still his book, right? And so I was in New York at the Marvel offices to meet with the editor, and I knew that they were fixing to give me that book. It was going to be my first Marvel thing. I just knew that I would talk to the editor. He was he was ready to hand it over to me. I was going to just continue inking it. The penciler was fine with my inks. He was happy, even though I was kind of new, but I was had been inking it, and then
You had the chops.
and then a week or two later, they gave it to somebody else.
Oh man, I'm trying to.
That's
And I think they even I think the penciler was still on it, and I think I did hear back from the penciler, and the penciler was like, I don't know. They just it's kind of that thing when you're in New York as a comic book person, you could go into the offices all the time, and I think somebody else had the editor's ear, and he's like, why are you giving it to this new guy when he was the guy that was been inking it this whole time anyway? And so that was I think one of them. I wasn't disappointed, but yes, yeah.
Tom Morgan.
That was it, and I just knew I had it because I even was with the editor, and we went out to lunch, and
oh man.
yes.
Yeah.
And it was and Jimmy's like, you got that book. I'm like, thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate you helping me, get the book. And we all knew I had it. And then all of a sudden, a week later, they gave it to somebody else. And I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Good story,
Somebody,
though.
I don't even remember. I don't know who was inking it, but I think
I can tell you what Wiki says.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay, let's not. Yeah.
Yeah. It had to be somebody in the office, somebody that was a little more known, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it was somebody that was less known.
Someone who was a little more known. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. And it had already been, it was like 14, 15. It was already 15, 16, the issue number or whatever. So they were just probably needing somebody that had a bigger name to keep the book's numbers up.
Okay. So it wasn't the first
That could be
issue.
it.
No. I'd been inking it for.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Bunch of issues. I think I helped Jimmy ink about 8 or 9 issues of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but it's that you wanted to know. That was it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's
disappointment. I got broke up with. They broke up with me. But then I started getting some of the Spider-Man stuff, which is what I really wanted to do anyway. So that worked out for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
I cried.
Willie says my first rejection was from Stan Lee in the 70s. Wow, that's a prestigious rejection. Hopefully you still held on to that.
Yeah.
Vic says I have never been rejected for a project. Granted, I've only tried for one. Yeah, so
you got a good track record then.
There you go. Yeah. You're batting 1,000.
Yeah.
So Jim Lee stole you guys' jobs. Willie says, happened to me with Daredevil. Thought I was a shoe-in when he thought he was him. And then Cassisi's he feels for you, Tommy. He said that sucks.
No, it's fine. I had plenty of work to do. I just thought I was like, God, my first real Marvel work. I've got a book. Wow, how did this happen? This was really cool. I was young, and it was
Yeah.
Like all these old memories.
So Haley or Roberta, y'all got y'all want to?
Well, I don't
Yeah.
have a comic one, but I have something similar.
Okay.
One of my more disappointing ones is I had been offered to help in character development for some of the monsters in Diablo.
The game, the video game.
Yeah, the game.
Cool.
Before it was a thing, you know, so and this was like, you know, traditional animation, you know, you'd be drawing sprites that would be,
Yeah.
you know, just a character, a picture that moves and all the iterations of it. And so like I started working on this really cool werewolf type character and I was passed over. They, you know, eventually hired somebody to do that without really telling me. They just kind of didn't do much with the stuff that I turned in. And I'm like, I didn't think it sucked. I don't know what happened. They didn't talk to me about it, but it crushed me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so looking forward to that because it just seemed like such a great project and it seemed like it would be something that would take off. And I had so much momentum with the thought, you know, behind
Yeah.
Mhm.
it. So
Yeah.
like that was the one that I was like, oh man, I got away.
Yeah.
It would have been
Yeah.
different life trajectory on that.
No
that end,
kidding.
you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Man, the game industry is so big right now, you know.
Yeah.
There's so many, and of course, with all the different platforms, you know, from the consoles to the computers to the mobile devices. I mean, it's such a huge game design is you know, at the university that I work at, game design is one of the biggest programs.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very very, very big.
So yeah, that's a rejection that really hurt
Yeah, that's tough.
because they didn't even say much about it. I was just so quiet. They're just like, well.
So is this one that you just you kind of found out about, or they told
I
you?
had a connection that said that they needed help with it. So so it was just, you know, a word of mouth that there was some need for that position.
Yeah.
So I started doing as much as I could in terms of samples and, you know, came up with some looks at characters and it looked pretty good to me.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Wow.
you never know how it goes or what they
Yeah.
needed or how easy the person was that replaced me was, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Who
And
knows?
that's the thing is
It's a
that
business.
it
It's
is.
all
It
I
is.
tried not to take it personally. I was like, you know, I've never done this before anyway. So I mean, you
But
never know.
but the thing about it is, I think, and I think that's some of the problem as a creative is that you don't really know what else is going on, you know, behind the scenes. You know, I'll just give it for instance, and this is something that it's hard to tell creative people, right? So I've known Tommy for you know, a long time, 30 plus years, right? If I've got a project coming up
2 weeks.
and 2 weeks, I've known Tommy for 2 weeks. If I've got a project coming up and, you know, I need an inker and somebody submits inks to me and I you know, I reject them. What they might not know is that Tommy and I have been talking about this project for a long time, and I'm like, hey, dude, you know, I'm excited about this. You want to do this, you know, and so they don't know that, right?
Yeah.
So they send something in thinking, oh, I've got a good shot at this, right? Well, here's Tom, you know, here's Tommy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell
Here's your
Tommy.
shoe-in,
nothing.
right?
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
So you know, I think
You're gonna make me cry. You're gonna kick me off again. Oh my gosh.
oh no, Dean reminded
So
me of
where's
that
the
this
level
week,
of
too.
giving someone a break versus, you know, knowing someone that can do it for you
Right.
with no problem.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, I mean, if you look back at my track record as an editor, one of the things that you absolutely know and can see from, this is one of the things that I absolutely love to do. I love to find and give artists a chance and a break, right? I love to give artists a break, I guess you could say, give them the opportunity to take that first step and then move forward. You know, I love that. I absolutely do love that. But, you know, again, there's those things you just don't know what's going on behind the doors that you're not, that you're not privy to, as far as you know, or the whole creative team may have been in place already, and you submit something, but it feels personal, but it's like, no, Tommy and I've been talking about this project for a long time. Your inks look good, but
Well, there's also the rejections of like you submit your inks into a company, like say Silverline, Marvel, DC, or whatever, and then you get that form letter back. Or if you go to a convention or whatever, and then you're showing your artwork to somebody, and you get I mean, it's the same rejection. If somebody sits there and talk to you and say, "Oh, you need to work on this and this and that," and they go, "Well, I think I'm ready to start doing comics," and you go, "You can't even draw a straight line." And then you get and so I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. So that's a different kind of rejection than what you're talking about of somebody hearing that maybe you've got to. So we'll say like Demon Tales, the next version of it, and you hear that there's a penciler going, and I think I can ink it, and they send you a note, but you've already told somebody else that they're already working on it. That's two different kind of rejections.
Well, and just for the record, right? If a new Demon Tales happens, anybody want to guess at who the first inker is? I'm going to ask.
Oh, Haley.
Yeah, yeah. Because Tommy did the first one, right?
It'd be fine. Yep.
So Tommy might say, "No, Roland, I don't have the time to do that," or "No, Roland, I don't want to ink that penciler," right? But
I probably wouldn't say that, but it depends on what's all going on, right? There's only so much time in the day. We're all we all got our our other jobs, and so there's only so much time in the day. So I'm not silly enough to think that I'm going to ink everything that Silverline comes through. It's like, no, I would like to, because it's just so much fun. All the Silverline books are big. Do what?
By the way, Roberta, you would be the one I would ask to color it too.
Oh, thank you so much.
There we go. Awesome. Right. I don't know how this looks on other people. Am I pointing at the right person?
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, you're going the right way.
But it's there's literally only so much time. Yeah. But then turning in some your inks in a blind submission kind of thing, saying, "Hey, do you need an inker for anything?" And then all of a sudden you get a form letter back saying, why your inks aren't good enough. Right. And that's a rejection, a different kind of rejection.
Well, I'm not going to use his name because I don't know that he hasn't given me permission, but he's a friend of ours, a longtime inker. He's a good inker, not Tommy. He saw someone post on social media that, hey, we're going to do some inking tryouts. Here are your pages to do. And so this inker got them, submitted them, even though he's got a bulk of a body of work. Right? Mm-hmm. They still made him go through the whole inking process, and we could talk about that a little bit. I understand part of it. Part of it I don't, part of it I do. But I don't think that they didn't even respond to him. Like, thank you for sending your ink.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you're a professional. You should at least be given, they should at least take the time to say, hey, oh man, your page is great. We're going to go a different direction. So
they didn't get back with him at all.
No. Vic says, wait, never mind. I forgot that I never came back. That one never came back to me. So he's got a 50-50 record.
Okay.
That's still pretty good. Reliability versus new talent. There's always that kind of the consideration. Wubba says hi.
Wubba.
Wubba, who still
come and jump on in, Wubba.
I know he refuses to join us, and I don't know why.
That's all right.
Greg Harm says, evening. What's up, Greg? Good to see you pop up here.
Howdy do.
We are talking about rejection tonight. So
see, Bubba just rejected us. He wouldn't join in.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Bubba's rejecting me all the time. Haley, you got any stories?
I can think of an early one, and then I can think of a more recent one that's probably like maybe. I mean, it was a long shot, but it was probably the one that hurt the most. So the first one, so I went to college for graphic design, and then I hadn't like really had like a job before I graduated, so I was looking for jobs in my field, and that just I quickly learned like, wow, that's so. You think there's a like graphic design is kind of hard to break into, I feel
Yeah,
like,
it
or
is.
maybe
Mhm.
I mean, I guess anything can be, but that one I was like, there's so much
It's
out there.
competitive.
It is
It
very competitive.
really.
Yeah. And so this one place that I applied to, they brought me in for an interview and they had me do like some test stuff, like did some test designs, redesigning some of their stuff. And I was there for like 3 hours. And luckily they did pay me for the time that
Yeah.
I was there. So
Yeah,
that was
well, that's
very
nice.
nice.
That's
But
very
it
nice.
just was,
That
yeah.
doesn't
So I'm
normally.
thankful for that. Because it was like, okay, hopefully we're not using the stuff that I did. No, but I mean, I think it was like stuff they already had done. And they were like, see how you would rework
See
this.
what your take on these different things.
Yeah. And so I kind of thought, and I mean, I was still like new to this and I guess a little naive, but I just thought like, okay, yeah, I mean, it seems like they're going to hire me like they had me.
Yeah, I have
do
the
work
job.
and
Look,
then,
they're paying me to do
yeah.
some
And so then when they didn't hire me, I was just kind of like, huh, what was all that for?
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so that was very early on. So I learned like, okay, I need to get a job at PetSmart and then keep looking for, had to do some of that kind of stuff first. And then I was like, okay, then I finally years later got like a full-time graphic design job. But
It was
Yeah.
Bookland for me. I worked at Bookland after I graduated.
Well, I think
Nice,
one of the things you learn is that people are looking for like-minded teams.
Yeah.
You know,
It's gotta-
so like
it's
when they
gotta-
try
yeah.
somebody out, it's like, do they get
Mhm.
me?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's more
Mhm.
that than even if you're good, not good. You know, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that are good, but you
Mhm.
know, maybe not the style that they need to have.
Yeah.
Well, and let's go ahead and say this too. There's a lot of people that are good, but they may not be
Which way are you going with this?
I know I'm trying to say they may not be personality compatible.
Oh, I was going a different
Yeah.
one with it.
No. It's like so the truth is people want to work with people they like, right? I mean, so I'm just gonna throw this out there. So you guys have heard us talk about the story about how Roberta ended up with the
Mhm.
Silverline, and she's like, I miss coloring, and I reached
Yeah.
out to Roberta. So here's the deal: if I didn't like Roberta, if I had thought that she had a toxic personality or something like that, I would have just said, oh man, those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah, wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
We'll go out to dinner. That's really good.
Right, but no,
Yeah.
because I remembered, right, even though it was a bunch of years ago, I got along really well with Roberta. Not only was she fantastically talented, but she and I got along really well. At least I remembered that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and of course, if the funny thing is, if you reverse this, right? If I had reached out to Roberta and she was like, "Oh, I roll over,"
No, not rolling. Anyone
Yeah.
but rolling.
I just miss it. I really don't have time to do it.
Yeah.
We'll go out to dinner sometimes. That's her.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when I'm
Yeah.
in town.
Yeah. When you're in town, we'll go out to dinner. Just flip the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Anyway,
so
yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, because people do, and I see Kasisi chiming in here. Kasisi, for those of you guys who remember, Kasisi is a graduate of the school I teach. He's one of my former students. For those who may not realize, that Kasisi had a story in our
The Christmas special.
yeah.
Mhm.
Kasisi was one of those. Not only was he a good student, but he was one of those. He had those personalities that I liked. Right, I got along with him. He seemed to get along with me. You don't have to correct me if I'm wrong, Kasisi. Right.
No.
So it was, right? It was kind of that. Okay, we get along as people. And this is one of the things that I try to teach in the class as well, is that you got to have what it takes creatively, skills wise. You got to have the chops, right? But you also got to be an agreeable person, because nobody wants to work with a jerk, A couple comments here. Greg says rejection stinks. Yes, it
Yes.
does. Wubba says not a refusal. It kind of looks that way from where we sit, Wubba.
I was just joking, Mr. Weather.
Cassisi says, it feels very weird to talk about rejections in the comic industry for writers. Is that a thing today? It absolutely is. I just assumed that it wasn't and tried to make my own stuff. It is, but not in the same way that when I was getting started as a writer, because Marvel and DC took submissions. I've got them somewhere, probably in a filing cabinet over here. I've got a big stack of rejection letters, and a few of them from DC, a few of them from Marvel. Marvel and DC no longer take submissions, so you can't submit to Marvel and DC anymore, so you can't get a rejection from them. You can, however, still get a rejection as a writer from other publishers. There are a few comic publishers that will take writer-only submissions, and you can still be rejected. Wubba says, rejection depends on the editor. I've had editors give me test scripts and another at the same company tell me I wasn't ready yet and had a lot to work on. Yeah, that's it's art, right? So
Right.
Subjective.
it's commercial, yes, of course, but it is very subjective. The four of us could all look at a piece of art, and I might go, "This is the best thing since sliced bread." Tommy
No,
goes,
there we go.
it's okay, and Roberta's like,
Yeah.
"This is crap," right?
Uh-huh.
And Haley's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very subjective, and and the other thing is we got away from the house styles of Marvel and DC of the 60s and 70s, right? Maybe even into the 80s, and so now comics have a wide variety of style. Well, heck, just look at Silverline. For instance, we've got Trumps, which is your pretty kind of traditional Marvel DC style kind of looking comic. We've got Bear, which is written by me, drawn by Haley, which is a very nice Marvel DC.
I can show it right now if you want.
Yeah, what would you call your style, Haley?
Let's see. I guess cartoony. I don't know. I mean, everything's cartoony, but like every drawing can be cartoony. But it's less realistic, less detailed. I guess. Like,
I would have said cartoony, but I didn't want to say it first in case you didn't.
Yeah.
That's an insult. Don't call my work cartoony.
Yeah.
Vic says, if you're a jerk, you aren't going to make it anywhere. Honestly, I would like to say, I would like to say you're right, but I've
There's
worked
exceptions.
for some jerks.
Oh.
So, Cassisi said, "LOL." Yeah, good. Thank you, Cassisi. Time to get rejected by Valiant before the shutdown. Yeah, before they shut down. He said.
I got a Valiant story too.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't so much of rejection, but
yeah. Tell your Valiant story. Haley still had one more. Hold on.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so one more recently. So there was, I don't even know if they are doing this anymore, but there was for a couple of years, there was like this comic artist grant where I think it was like $30,000 and they would.
Zurich grant?
No, it was like Creators for Creators, I think is what it was called.
Oh, interesting.
And they I don't know if they're still doing it, but I saw it and I think I applied in like their third year or something. And so they, so you would apply, and then whoever won would get a year and $30,000 to work on their graphic novel, and then I guess I think they had like ins with the publisher, maybe multiple publishers. But anyway, so I applied to that and like figured like probably was a long shot, but it was something that I really, really wanted. I was like, I could probably like quit my job and just do this for a while, and so it was like disappointing to not get that, and then. Kind of looking at, I want to be careful how I say this, but like, as we were saying, art is subjective. So like looking at some of the past winners, I was like, this isn't interesting to me. Like maybe mine wasn't artsy enough. And like,
be honest, you were like, I'm better than that.
Yeah. I was kind of like, okay, like I can see where this is not bad, but it's just like not something like I read one of them and I was like, okay, it was very like conceptual, I think is maybe the word. Whereas mine was like, here's like a story about this girl. She does this and it's pretty like like here's what happens, and it's not like here's all these interconnecting things, and it's more about the emotions than the things that are happening, which isn't bad, but I was just kind of like, okay. I could probably find a publisher or something like Silverline that fits more of like what I
want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But I was like, that just would have been so cool because I was like, oh, I could potentially like take a year
Quit
to
my
just do
job
comics
and-
full time,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
maybe more would
Mhm.
come of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still what I want to do.
Yeah. We're talking about jerks here. Wubba says there are pros, no names, that are real pricks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I would kind of have to disagree with what it was Vic said, right? That the jerks aren't going to make it anywhere, and I just don't think that's the case. I think sometimes jerks find a way, kind of like the Jurassic Park thing, right?
That's
Life
right.
finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Jerks find a way.
Well, they do got to be good enough, though, right? So
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and I think that's the thing is that the people who are jerks often have the skills to they have enough skills. I can remember, no names, but Roberta, you can probably remember some that come through our office.
Mhm.
No
no names.
no names.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
think we're jerks to start off with? I mean, of course, I guess if you're a jerk, but they held it back long enough to break in, do good, get a good run, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm just going to be an idiot from now on and be a pain in the butt.
The other thing you got to keep in mind is that back then we didn't have social media.
That's
So-
true. You didn't know who was a jerk for a lot of the parts.
You basically made photocopies and send your work in, right?
Yeah, as
So-
long as it's being turned in, I don't care what you were doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Vic says
That is,
Xerox is something that Peter Laird did. Xeric, not Xerox. And I think it was Peter Laird that did that. What Star Trek guy who made Raver? Why did that come up? Oh, yeah. No names. I know where that comes up now. Yeah. Greg Harm says, "Woo! It's hard not to take rejection personal, but in most instances, it's not personal. Publishers and editors have certain things they look for, certain styles, storytelling, etc. Some publishers and editors will take a somewhat talented artist that works well in the team setting over a phenomenal artist that doesn't. In this case, it is personal." Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say me going to someone that I know, like Roberta or Tommy, and say, "Hey, I want you to do." I guess you could say that's personal if someone sends it in, but I think maybe it's not the rejection that's personal; it's the selection that's personal, right? It's I selected these super talented people that I know and want to work with, and so if someone else comes along, it's not so much that you're rejected; it's that I've selected somebody else, right?
Right.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
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 Well, it's only one slot, so.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Tommy, you had a Valiant story?
Well, now I'm thinking about it. It wasn't a rejection. I just remember when I was doing the Magnus robot fighter. I guess this was late '90s, I had to be late '90s. I'm guessing now, because when I moved down here, to Florida. So yeah, when all of a sudden I was told that I had the book, I was inking it. I inked like 3 or 4 issues of it, and I went to MegaCon, right? And all of a sudden, somebody walked by the table and they saw I had some books, and they go, Valiant, or it was Acclaim, right? Valiant Acclaim, because that's what they go. They just went under, and you're like, no, because I thought, man, here I've got a book, and then all of a sudden I get back home and they go, yeah, we're out of. So that's not really the same thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no.
No, but
that's business failure. That not you.
it wasn't my fault. But yeah,
Right.
no, but getting back to the personal rejection kind of thing, it's like I don't think I would have became as strong an inker as I would have if I would have taken so many of rejections, quote unquote rejections, personally, because I took those rejections and then what was asked of me and made improvements. And and it's like, well, I mean, if whoever I'm trying to get work from keeps rejecting me and I still want to keep working for those people, well, somebody's got to change.
Right.
It's not going to be them, it's going to be me. I've got to either go to somebody else that's going to take my, I guess, quote unquote subpar work, right, and not professional work, or I need to get better. Right. As long as you can take what they're saying and, the crap from the good stuff and go, well, I can do a little bit of this, don't do that because that was stupid, but this made sense. And then all of a sudden, I got better and better, and as we see, I got better.
Yeah.
So that's the personal rejection compared to being you being a professional already and just asking, trying to get on a book that's already got some other inkers or pencilers or whatever. This is like when you're just trying to break in, kind of thing.
Right.
So
And
that's more of a personal rejection.
But that's not a personal rejection because of you, right? It's just because your work.
Well, you still kind of take it personal because it's a rejection nonetheless, right? So
your art is like a part of you. You feel like
they say, "Well, you suck," and here's what you're doing while you suck, and you go, "But I never took it that way. I was like, I suck, but here's why you suck." And I'm like, you're right. I do suck. Let me fix that, and then make it better. And then all of a sudden, I would send those changes, and you would go, "Oh yeah, you're really good now. You did some. You learn, Tommy. You learned. You can be taught, be molded." So
it's always better than clueless.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's either that or go find somebody that'll take your bad artwork.
Well, and for a long time, the independent comics that's kind of what you found in the independent comics a lot of times is the guys who got the folks who got rejected and said, well, I'm just going to go do this, right, do something else, and so all right, so one of my favorite independent books, and I'll just give an example, one of my favorite independent books is a book called Cerebus, right? And if you look at those first couple of issues, though, they weren't that good. You look at him. I mean, he ended up doing like 300 issues,
right?
Got really good, but those first few issues, you kind of had to like it enough to bear with it to see him get good, right? But yeah, if I were to, because it started, I think in the late 70s. Now I didn't know Cerebus until probably the late 80s, maybe. So it'd been going on a decade by the time that I discovered it. So when I discovered it, he was good. But when you look at those first issues, you're like, these really aren't that good, are they? But he figured it out. Wubba says, later guys, back to the work grind. I hope, Wubba, that means drawing. Yeah. Greg Harm says, "Yep," talking about the rejections there. Vic says,
I'm sorry.
Vic says, "I feel like getting dropped and being rejected has the same crappy feeling."
Yeah.
I think so. It still feels crappy, but there are two different reasons.
Take it as constructive criticism. There you go. Yeah. Rather than you can tell if somebody, like if you go to a show and you're showing your portfolio like we used to do, we take especially your artwork, you throw it on the table of somebody that's been working in the industry for a while, and it always happens to us all the time too, So I eventually was on the other side of the table. I was both sides of the table, at the beginning, and then had it happening to me, but. Sometimes you can put stuff on somebody's table and the person will give you bad info. We've had that happen plenty of times, but you just got to kind of take it as, take both the good and the bad and make it work for you, kind of a thing. And the other thing I was going to say was to also, when you're sending in artwork to a company where that their style is a certain way, like if your typical Marvel DC kind of style, and then all of a sudden I would do some, try to send my pencils for my kid on the wall, my kind of stuff, or the bear kind of stuff, and And Haley's like, I want to draw Spider-Man. You better give me a Spider-Man book. And it's like, well, you don't draw Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, we don't yet. And then Haley or myself would get mad. It's like, well, they didn't give me that book. I can draw Spider-Man just as well. Well, no, you're drawing
Yeah.
totally different style. So don't get mad if they give you a rejection. And
I can tell you exactly what the editor said when you're. I know this didn't happen, but when your Kid Hero stuff passed the Spider-Man editor's desk, here's what the Spider-Man editor said: have you ever read a Spider-Man comic?
exactly. Well, that's what they would say,
Yeah.
right? As my sample went like this across the desk into the garbage can, right?
Yeah.
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 It's like this came into the wrong office. Is where this should have went to the kid division or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Wubba says, nope, day job. All right, Wubba.
All right, well,
All right.
love you, man.
Yeah, yep, we miss you. Know that you're welcome to come back as soon as you are able, and we're hoping that is very soon. 2023, maybe. That's your target, Wubba, if you're still listening, had to go to the day job. Greg Harms said, where did he go? Said to grow, you have to be honest with your own weaknesses. Well, there's a lot of truth in that.
Improvement. Yep.
Yeah. This is a good one here. Vic says, I feel like to an extent you got to make some crappy work until you finally get better. Like you got to make Fugitoid before you make Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's exactly true. And I saw some folks on Twitter the other day talking about, you guys have heard the 10,000 hour thing, right? Yeah. And I feel there's a lot of truth in that. I feel that, I don't know that that's the exact number, but I feel there's a lot of truth in that idea that you have to put in a lot of hours before you can become a master at something. Now, there was a lot of folks on Twitter basically saying they thought that was so much hooey, but I feel there's a lot of truth in it. I think that you've got to spend, and I don't know if it's exactly 10,000 hours, but and how does that equate to comic time? Is that?
Well, I think it has
1,000
to.
pages?
It has to be the time plus the interest level.
Yeah.
Because you have to be really invested in the hours. Some people, do not put all that much of themselves into their work, and then they expect results out of it.
Yeah.
And they still put hours in, and still nothing happens.
Yeah. So, Roberta, do you believe that that shows in the work?
It does show in the work.
Yeah, I think so too. I think when someone's, I guess the term for that these days is called phoning it in, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think sometimes you can, so you can't always tell, but I think a lot of times if somebody's phoning it in, you can tell.
You're a little sloppy.
You can get by on talent, but you won't get better.
Right. Yeah. Greg Harms says, yep, the 10,000 hour idea. Like an athlete, you're only as good as your practice. Oh man, that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
So much truth in that. Oh, look at this, Scott Wakefield. Hey,
Scott.
Boo! Boo!
I've had you on in the background while I've got some work done around the house after shoveling all afternoon. Thanks for all the wisdom.
What were you shoveling?
Snow.
No, I'm sure.
Move. You got to move. You got to move, man. We can't be living somewhere. No.
I thought that's why you had kids. I thought you had your kids.
Yeah, I know. With the 13 kids, get them out there and start snowing. Or shoveling. Not snowing. Because everybody knows Scott has 13 kids.
He says 3 feet of snow.
No. Love you, Scott.
I'm so sore.
Oh, boy. It's
Yeah,
cold down here too, man. It's really cold.
Yeah. So, Roberta, did you have another rejection story? I think I interrupted earlier. You say something?
Well, I mean, I've got jobs I didn't get during the pandemic. I mean, it's really not that big a deal. It was tough out there.
Well, so you say it's not that big a deal, but let me take a step back and say I think the reason that you can say that now is that you've got experience that's the Roberta with a few years of experience under her belt, where the Roberta of 30 years ago that might have settled a little different. Would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's a little bit of a loss to
Yeah.
you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of mine, Roberta might know a little bit about what I'm talking here. I'm not going to name any names, but one of mine was.
Go ahead.
So when I got hired at Malibu, one of the things that they told me that they said once I got to be on staff, I would have a greater opportunity to write more. And so, which is what I wanted to do, right? I didn't, being an editor, it's not, I don't know too many people. I know there are people out there, but I don't know too many people that are like, oh man, my lifelong dream is to just be an editor. I think there are people like that, but I think most editors bring something else to the creative table, whether it be art or story. And what they find out is that they're good at putting stuff together. I never would have thought this about me until I ended up at Malibu and looked back and I'm like, oh yeah, I did do all that, didn't I? It was just something that happened because it just kind of came natural to me, right?
Can I put my 2 cents in before you go any further?
Sure.
I have a feeling that you don't realize how hard it is to be an editor and how hard it is to find someone that's actually capable of doing it.
Yeah. There's a lot of work.
And I think that, despite your own dreams of having a writing job, they want, to fill that role.
Right.
More than they want to have one good book by an editor.
Right.
That is writing,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to lose when they see somebody who actually can do this.
Yeah.
It's a tough set of qualities to be a good editor.
And it's often very very thankless because sometimes you do have to make those tough decisions of rejection, right? When you're trying to find a team, you have somebody. If multiple people submit to a job, they can't all get it, right? So if you've got a dozen people submit to one job, one of those people is going to be happy. 11 of them are going to be unhappy, right? So it can be a thankless job. And Dean and I talk about this. I don't feel that he would be upset me saying this live because I think he might have said it. But one of the things that Dean and I talk about is that I had to actually remove Dean from Nightman. It wasn't because Dean wasn't doing the work. It wasn't because Dean wasn't doing a good job. It wasn't because he wasn't meeting his deadlines. It was because sales were falling and the marketing department came to me and said, hey, this book is going to be canceled unless you make a change. And I said, so what kind of change? He said, we'll get a new artist.
So they can advertise on a new artist, so therefore it's better.
Exactly.
I hate that.
As the editor, my options were do nothing and let the book get canceled, which is never good for anybody, or replace Dean with somebody different and
to be different.
What's that?
Just to be different.
Just to be different. Just
try
so
something else.
Just so that they can get the marketing hit that says, hey, we got something new. See, it's all new and different. Come buy more copies. And I think that's one of the things that Dean took that personal because he looked at his own stuff and is like, look, I'm not late on the work. I'm doing good work. What's the deal?
Yeah. Why am I failing? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where I had to. I guess that's not really rejection, but it's kind of. I mean,
it is
similar to it. Yeah. But he and I have talked about that since then several times, and it's like it was not a decision. It was a decision that was kind of hoisted upon me that I was okay. Here are my options. I can either do this or do that. And I had to make a call, which was very uncomfortable. Dave travels in time says hello everyone. What is up, Dave? We are talking about rejection as a creator tonight. Vic says, I feel like the 1,000 crappy pages is half true. The only Malibu book I remember you writing was the Arrow one shot. Yeah, it's so funny the way you word that, Vic. And I only say this because I know how old you are because you said it one time on the stream. And the fact that you said the only Malibu book I remember, and I know you don't remember that because you weren't around when that happened. So it's funny because y'all, I told you the con was great today. You know what I found today, Tommy?
Uh-oh.
I found dime boxes.
What?
I don't mean drugs. I
Dime boxes.
found comic boxes that were comics for a dime.
10 cents a piece?
I came back with a stack like this, and BJ
Oh,
was
no.
like,
Oh
how
wow!
much did you spend, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, I spent
Can
$4.
I ask, what was in it?
Well, that's funny because he said the Arrow. I got 2 copies of the Arrow for 10 cents a piece.
Oh.
I
Nice.
figure I'll give those out. I think I sent Wubba one already. He told me he wanted one. So I found something for you, Tommy.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's funny. Is that when he did the Alpha Centurion special? I don't know what you're talking about there. You got to be talking about Dean, but I don't know what it's. And then Greg says that's rough. Yeah, it was tough, and I think that's one of those things when you talk about editing. I think that that's some of that stuff that goes on behind the doors that people just don't realize is that I mean, they didn't come to threaten my job so much, but ultimately that if you don't have any books to edit, guess what?
I know yeah, well, I mean, that's your job is that's your job. Yeah, so yeah.
Vic says, I remember reading it after the fact. Okay. You're right. That was the Arrow was a lot of fun. Vic, and I picked up 2 copies today for 10 cents a piece.
You want to know what I found in a box today? In a thrift store.
What?
Necromantra.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was a cool one. Yeah.
Just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. Was it in a cheap
I remember
box?
that. It was not that cheap.
Yeah.
It was all right.
It's funny because we have some.
Since it wasn't that cheap, I thought I'm not going to get it, so somebody might enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny because we have some antique stores up here, right? And as antique stores do, they almost always have comic books, right? And of course, I go and look at them, and I'm like, these aren't that old. But then they've got like $5 a piece on them, and I'm like, these books aren't worth 50 cents. Why are you selling them for $5 a piece?
Because they can.
Yeah, and some of it is because it's people running an antique store and they don't really know any better. So I don't know. I guess
plus they probably rarely ever sell any. So
Right. Yeah. So
they
just
figure get as much as they can out of it.
Yeah. Dave says rejection happens. I want to get better at my art, not to try to be a professional artist or anything. To get better just for fun. Big heads.
Yes.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, you do want to get better. Maybe I can get art tutor.
Means egos, I think, is what he means.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. I was talking to somebody today at the show, and we were talking about going to school for the things that we do. I was talking to John Pinto, and one of the things that he mentioned is that if I were a young artist today, he says I wouldn't go to college. I would just go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Because there's so
you can learn a lot. It just depends on how much of the how much of that artistic ability that you've already got. Yeah, if you already can draw a little bit, you can. Yeah, but there's still some use in going to some technical school to draw a little.
Well, there's people that have live, streams that will let you draw along, and then they'll give advice and pointers and that kind of thing. So, I mean, there is a lot to be taught just for free.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And of course, we didn't have that back, when we
No.
when we were trying to learn. We had to go to the store and buy books,
Yeah.
art books, right, and comic books.
Yep.
And look at what they did here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Or hang out with somebody else that's figured it out already, and try to kind of learn from them. Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
which
yeah.
is what I did.
Yeah, yeah. So, kind of to finish up that story, at Malibu, one of the things that, after they had told me that, and then once I got there, um, I talked to them. I'd been there for a while. Of course, early on, it was like, okay, I get it. You want me to focus on my job. I've been here long enough. Now let's talk about me doing some stuff. And so that's when some of the cat and mouse stuff came along. I actually even have. You guys know who Andrew Wildman is, right? He did the Transformers stuff. He did a lot of Transformers. This was
Yes.
pre-Transformers, right? But he did a lot of Transformers stuff. He actually did some redesigns of the characters. I found those the other day. I have all of his redesigns of Cat and Mouse and everything. It was very cool looking. I had way too much to include in the omnibus for that big, but I might once the omnibus comes out, maybe have some kind of special link to it or something. But yeah, that all looks pretty cool.
I'm trying to remember, was all of Cat and Mouse done by the time you moved to California?
Yes.
I don't remember.
I think, yeah, I'm fairly certain that's the case. It wasn't all done, but before I moved to Starkville. So I moved out of Hattiesburg, out of Kettle before it was finished. Yeah.
No, yeah, because I know that, because I remember the inks I did on 17. Y'all were in Starkville.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where, I'm trying to remember where Demon Tales started inking on that. Where you were.
I might have been in California when Demon Tales came along.
Yeah, I think
Cat
so.
and Mouse was done before I went out there.
Okay.
And so this is something that we had worked on, and they had promised me, and I would bring it up every so often. And another editor who was hired after me came along and got a book.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, oh, wait. So that, it's like, we promised you this, and we're not giving you this. But this other person who came along, we're going to give them a book, right? Or they had some writing stuff, and I'm like,
what happened was you were doing such a great job putting the books together. They didn't want to. Why would they have wanted to? You shouldn't have done such a great job.
Yeah.
But let you write some more.
Yeah, I guess so. So
now they just gave you more books to edit, and then all of a sudden you went from the non-Ultraverse books and then jumped over to the Ultraverse books when that closed up, and then
yeah. So that one kind of for me stung a little bit. I have I have a lot of rejection letters. I probably have a whole bunch of rejection emails too, but I held on to my letters for a long time. After I left comics in the 2000, I decided I wanted to go work in as a novelist, as a serious writer. I was getting out of comics.
A real writer?
Be a real writer. And to do that kind of stuff, you need an agent to represent you, to take you to legit book publishers, right? I mean, this was kind of pre all of the. Now you always had self publishers, right? You always had that, but it was kind of pre digital printing, print on demand kind of stuff. So it wasn't super popular like it is today.
Where you can take your book to Amazon and all that kind of stuff.
You don't even have to print a copy of it if you don't want to.
Right.
Just take it. Yeah, just take it to Amazon. I got rejection letter and rejection letter and rejection letter from all of these agents and they would give you good reasons. Oh, well, your book is to this, your book is to that, right? Your book is not enough this, right? Mm-hmm. And it just, those even today, thinking about them, some of those still feel personal. I know they're not. Mm-hmm. But they, they read them and make a judgment based on what they read.
Yep.
And I had a couple of agents ask for. So what you do, you guys may not know, when you have a novel done, what you do is you usually query, right? So you're like, I have a novel. Here's what it's about. And then they're like, oh, I'm interested in that. Send me the first 3 chapters. So you then send them the first 3 chapters. If they like that, then they'll request the rest of the manuscript, right? So this is why if you're writing a novel, you can't just write a little bit. You got to write it all before you start submitting it. And so I had 2 of them request the full manuscript, right? And so what you get there, that's you're usually, a lot of times you can't make it past the query stage, right? So to get to the 3, send me your first 3 chapters, that's a good, that's a good sign, right? And I made that to a couple of them. But I had 2 of them ask for the full manuscript. But it was then that, like, okay, well, now your book is to this, your book is to that. It's funny because I had one tell me that my book was too young, and the other tell me my book was not young enough.
Which one?
What do I need to make the characters younger, or do I need to make them older? I don't understand what you want me to do. So. All right, Greg says the best lines from my rejections. You should get a regular job. You'll never.
Oh man!
Oh, gosh.
You draw the ugliest woman I've ever seen. Oh
my God. Those are pretty harsh. Yeah.
That was Roland told you that. Roland, that was mean, man. You shouldn't have said that.
You should get a regular job. Yeah. I don't know that I've told many artists that, but I have told some of my. I hope Cassisi's not still. He wasn't one of them, by the way. But I have. I have wanted to tell some of my students that you should keep your job at 7-Eleven because you're probably. Cassisi was not one of those. Cassisi's gonna go on if he's still around. He's gonna go on to do good things. He's got those special ingredients that he's got the talent, but he's also got the drive. You can't drive. You can teach stuff. You can't teach drive. Greg says neither of those publishers are still around.
Oh,
all right. So what about it, guys? Any other rejection stories you want to tell? Wait. Dave says Roland. Okay, what's up, Dave? Roland's gonna say that to me. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Nick, you're 15. I'm not gonna tell you to get a day job.
To get a day job, 15-year-old high school.
15 is keep drawing.
That's your time. You can stay up all night and draw. You can. This is your time to learn what you're doing. Jam on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are in the perfect place to prep yourself. Vic says, get into the coal mines.
The coal mine.
No, Vic, your problem at 15, Vic, is going to be. I'm going to guess this, and Tommy can back me up from our college days. Your problem is going to be when all of your friends are doing something fun and cool, is that you're going to have to learn to most of the times, not all the times, but most of the times you're going to have to learn to say, no, I got to go draw.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be out doing stuff that won't advance you. And it might be fun, right? But you're at that stage where you gotta get those hours in. You already said it earlier, right? You gotta get those. You gotta get as close to that 10,000 hours now as you possibly can. And again, that's not to say
out of the way.
Fun, but
no
You
fun.
can't go to the beer hall. You're 15, but you can't go to the beer hall. 7
you
nights out of the week.
Anyway. Can't go to. Yeah. No, I remember. I mean, at that age, you're really young at doing. I think when I broke in, I was 21, 22, and that's kind of young too, because everybody when I started, showing the work that I was doing and how I'm better now, but how good it was then. At that point, and how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 22, and they're like, you're 22. How are you doing this kind of work at 20? So yeah, if you're 15, 16, just start jamming. That'll be great.
I think I was 24. So
Yeah.
I was a little bit, but but 24, I'd graduated, college already. A lot of people think, oh, you go to college, you graduate, and then you're immediately going to get a job.
Well, I got work while I was in college.
Did you really?
They hired me before I was graduated.
What? Really?
Mm-hmm.
So wait,
I hadn't. Well, I didn't.
Job.
Yeah, Malibu.
Really?
I was still
you were
in
still
college.
in college?
I was.
I didn't know that.
Do you remember I was on night shift?
She's only 26 now. She's young.
Yeah, well, daytime I was in college, and nighttime I was there.
I did not realize that you were in college.
That's a lot of hours. I'm telling you, that was not fun.
Bet. Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, I was down to the end where I didn't have that much left. So
yeah, okay.
I gotten all of the required course stuff for my major where I didn't have electives. And some, GE stuff. So it wasn't anything that mattered, in terms of the art.
Yeah. So you got to go take underwater basket weaving and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right.
Scuba diving glass.
Yeah, for the electives. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I was still early 20. Wow. I was like 22 cool. Or something like that.
Very cool. Malibu was overall was a young company.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people, even the bosses were younger.
They were pretty young. I thought.
Yeah, I thought so. I can't remember. I want to say that probably Dave was probably the oldest, and I want to say he was probably only like mid 30s, maybe,
or early even maybe.
Or early 30s, yeah. Because I think by the time I went to Malibu, I think I was 28 when I arrived there. So yeah, it was. But the company as a whole was very, very young. I think Dave's older than Scott.
So
Scott
we just grew together. Is what happened.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. And I think too, for some of us, I think maybe that's part of why we look back on that at that time so fondly, because a lot of us, it was some of our first work creatively, and it was a great environment for the most part, right? It was a very
I also didn't get discouraged by rejection after rejection for 2 or 3 years before getting the work too. There is
right.
that,
Yeah.
It's luck. That's luck. But but honestly, yeah, you grow a lot in those years. I changed a lot being there, doing the work for 8 hours a day,
Yeah, it teaches you that it's creative, but it's a grind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do have to, and I think that's so many young artists, and I don't mean just the drawing kind. I mean artists all around think that, oh, if I can just get this job, life is going to be all sugar. I'm going to go in and maybe do my thing for a couple of hours and then go play the rest of it. Well, okay.
Once you get the work, it's work.
Yeah, once you get the work, then you gotta. That's when you don't get it.
You gotta keep. Then you're worried about losing it, and you gotta keep the work. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a book that they told you that you've got 4 or 5 issues we're going to give to you. If you've screwed up on that one that you're working on, you're off the next one anyway. Even if they told you they were giving it to you, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
You wrote to say?
Nothing's no, it's fine. I was just thinking that, we all were kind of doing the same thing, so we learned from each other a lot.
Yeah.
So if I was doing this in my house, I think my confidence level would be way down.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly feeling like we're making each other better.
Yeah. And that's part of what I think our streams are for me, is that it's good for me to hang out with you, Roberta, for an hour or so on Sunday nights. It helps to recharge those creative batteries, in lieu of an office, that we get to do that.
Yeah.
I remember you guys in the coloring department because computer coloring was still brand new at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of you guys in the coloring department, you would figure something out. Oh, look what, and then the coloring department was all abuzz. Look, we figured out this new thing.
Yeah, we
right?
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
was exciting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you remember at the time the computers were very slow.
Yes.
They were still
way slow.
They were still learning how to make, how to make it work in the most functional way possible
with the
through
least amount of
computer
memory.
not doing, trying to work around the computational part.
Yes.
And nobody had huge hard drives, so you basically could, save a page or two on your hard drive, then you had to move it off onto something else because you didn't have any room to keep it on there.
I think we had those SideQuest discs.
We had the
SideQuest discs. Yeah.
Anyway, the bigger deal really was that we would learn this is faster, this is easier.
Yes.
The computer could make this happen easier.
Yeah.
So, oh wow, you just saved us a
Right.
huge amount of time. I got to do this kind of effect all the time.
Yeah.
This is, so it's.
I think one of the early reasons I fell in love with working with Roberta was she had the same passion for color holds that I did.
Yeah, they're great.
I love them. Right, but
it just gives so much more depth too.
I think so too. They're
Yeah,
I still remember. I think of a book like Prototype, and I'm like, okay, Prototype would not be the same book without color holds, because those blasts.
Absolutely.
It's like, yeah, okay, you can draw that, whatever, but it takes it to a whole different level, right? And
started doing with Photoshop, all of a sudden the color holds were just becoming easier to do.
Yeah. A couple of last comments here. Vic says, I have missed one day of drawing recently, and that's for homecoming. We'll see. There you go. That's
great to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'm disappointed. He went to homecoming. He should have been. Oh, golly.
Willie said, I got a freelance job with KFC and McDonald's while in college.
I went to work for KFC and McDonald's while I was in college. Wait a minute, that's not the same thing he's talking about. Never mind.
I don't think I worked for either one of those.
No,
I worked for a camera store while I was in college.
Did you really?
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. I like both of my I worked for a record shop, which don't exist anymore, and a bookstore. So I like both of those.
Those are both good jobs. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I
got an internship job that I really liked, doing special effects. That was cool.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
That's what I like about college. You can try things and go, this is not for me.
Right. Yeah.
But if I had not had that job, I wouldn't have been touting how awesome Wacom tablets were to an elevator. So there you go.
I did not realize you did that.
Yeah. Well, I was like, please get me one of those.
That's kind of cool. Vic says that was the first time in like 2.5 months. That's good, Vic. That's absolutely what you have to do. Willie said interior illustration for training manuals. That's kind of cool.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Greg says, I would have loved to worked on Prime or Mantra back then. Rune as well. Rune is another one of those books.
That was a fun
Rune
book.
is so awesome.
One book.
I picked up Rune in the dime box that I found today. And Vic says, if you accidentally fill in the wrong spot, it's out for lunch. Yeah. Way back when. Well, guys, our clock has, as it usually does, has zoomed right past our time. And it is
excellent conversation.
Yeah, this was a good one. We don't have a topic for next week, and we talked about being off. I might just decide to jump on here. None of you guys do not feel obligated because it's Thanksgiving. I know there's not going to be a live stream Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll have something up for those of you who still want something to watch from us. I'm going to find some. I'm going to see if we've got some cool Thanksgiving shows from the last couple of years, and we'll rerun those. And if I just decide I don't want to be here next Sunday, we'll do the same thing. But I don't know. I may feel like
Take a
just
holiday.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Take a
So
holiday.
don't count
Be
on
with
us
your
being
family.
Yeah.
don't count on us being live for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday. But you guys, guess who is going to be with us in 2 weeks?
Who's that?
Uh, um,
Did you get Jerry
the,
back?
No, not Jerry
Not
this
yet.
time.
Not
Yeah,
yet. Okay.
not yet. Ben Dunn. Ben Dunn.
Nice.
cool.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
For those of you Netflixers, Ben Dunn is the creator of The Warrior Nun, not this
I
TV show, but the
love
comic
that
book.
show. was
We do
great.
too. Yeah, have you watched season 2 yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, we
Not
watched the
yet.
first episode of season 2, and it's good. It started off good. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So Ben Dunn is the creator of that. Ben Dunn is the I know him, and it's changed sometimes, but I know him as the head honcho over at Antarctic Press.
Yeah.
He did Ninja High School.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Dunn's done
Good
all.
comic, by the way.
He has done. Ben has been around for many years, doing some really good comics, and I've had the pleasure of knowing him for a long time, and so he is going to join us in 2 weeks, and we'll talk about.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy about that.
Yeah. So you have to come back and join us if you can, Roberta.
I will try. We'll
Okay.
see what happens.
If you can, yeah. We won't
All
hold
right.
you. All right. So, anybody else have anything to say before we? Let me find my exits thing here. Since we've been part of the Madness Network, which we absolutely love. There's all kind of choices over here, and I have to find it. So, until we see you guys next time, remember to
Next month,
make
Silverline.
And Silverline.
All right, everyone.
Hey, I'm Pat Broderick. Make mine Silverline.